All right, everyone. It looks like we've got mostly everybody here that's going to be here. So it's about 2 minutes past 2. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to thank everybody for coming in today and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the second public work group on Zero Emission Assurance Project ZAP. I am Michael, the lead CARB staff for ZAP. And joining me today is Scott, the ZAP lead from the Community Housing Development Corporation. Here are a few details before we start. This meeting is recorded and will be available in our meetings and workshops webpage in about 2 weeks. All meeting materials, like slides, can be found on that webpage. Staff will put a link in the Zoom chat here in a minute. If you have any questions or comments during the question and comments period, please use the Zoom's hand raised features. If there is any disruptions or misuse of Zoom, we will reschedule and notify you. For security, we need the names visible in Zoom. So if you call in, we will identify you by the last 4 digits of your phone number when you raise your hand. We have Spanish interpretation available.
Thank you, Michael. Buenas tardes. Su servidor, Carlos Díaz de León, uno de sus intérpretes el día de hoy. Algunos detalles antes de iniciar. Esta sesión se está grabando y estará disponible en la página de Meetings and Workshops, reuniones y talleres, en alrededor de 2 semanas. Todos los materiales de esta reunión, entre ellos las diapositivas, los encontrará en dicha página y el personal ya colocó en la ventana de chat el enlace para acceder a ella. Para hacer preguntas o comentar durante el periodo de preguntas o comentarios, por favor levante su mano utilizando el icono de reacciones, React, en su barra de controles de Zoom para levantar su mano virtual. En caso de haber disrupciones o mal uso de esta plataforma, se tendrá que reprogramar la reunión y se le notificará de la nueva fecha. Para fines de seguridad, necesitamos que sus nombres aparezcan visiblemente en Zoom. Si se comunicó vía telefónica, le identificaremos utilizando los últimos 4 dígitos de su teléfono cuando usted levante su mano virtual. Gracias, and thank you, Michael.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for the interpretation today. With that, let's get started with a little background on ZAP. Next slide, please. So ZAP was established by AB 193, Cervantes, Chapter 336, Statute of 2018, to help lower-income Californians reduce the risk of buying a used zero-emission vehicle or near-zero-emission vehicle by providing a rebate or vehicle service contract for the replacement battery or fuel cell components. Repair costs are a significant barrier to entry for low-income Californians. ZAP complements the California Resources Board's light-duty vehicle purchase incentive programs, such as Clean Cars for All and financing assistance, by helping to alleviate low-income residents' concerns about premature battery degradation, resulting in reduced vehicle performance, vehicle depreciation, and costly repairs. Next slide, please. In our August work group, we went over the eligibility and policies for ZAP. That work group helped create the list, which was subsequently approved in the fiscal year 2024 through 2025 funding plan for clean transportation incentives. ZAP will affect older incentivized vehicles that use the 70% state of battery state of health milestone from the onboard diagnostic system, also known as OBD, to flag the vehicle's battery if it drops below 70%. Most vehicle manufacturers' warranties in the past and currently only replace battery packs or modules after capacity falls below 70% of the battery's original capacity. ZAP will use the 70% state of health as a trigger for battery replacement. Staff consulted information available from vehicle manufacturers' warranties and to understand at what point manufacturers consider premature battery failure and cover replacements. This information indicates that once battery storage and/or vehicle range are below 70% of a vehicle's capacity, the battery is replaced. As there aren't as they sorry as there aren't many light-duty fuel cell models manufactured, the threshold for decreased power output triggering replacement is not publicly known. The program will defer to the manufacturer's threshold for replacement. Additional research during the implementation of ZAP may change this and set a threshold for ZAP. Eligibility is determined by participation in district and CARB CC4A and financing assistance pilot programs. This also includes any participants of the current Drive Clean Assistance Program who purchased a used zero-emission vehicle. ZAP incentives are limited to one per person instead of per vehicle. AB 193 also mentions income limits that currently differ from CARB's historically used for eligibility in its equity-focused purchase incentive programs. If participants were income eligible at the time of purchase, that will satisfy the income eligibility requirements from ZAP. If because of an individual's involvement in our equity-focused purchase incentive programs, their income has increased, it will not preclude them from the program. Next slide, please. Given that most manufacturer warranties are 10 years and up to 100,000 miles, and that ZAP covers used vehicles, giving clients an extended warranty period of up to 15 years or 200,000 miles should more than cover their needs. In our preliminary research, we found vehicles outside of the first generation Leafs and Priuses with batteries lasting up to 300,000 miles in hybrids and primarily EV data used in the Advanced Clean Cars 2 program, which shows with proper charging and maintenance. Large EV battery packs can last 300,000 or more miles. ZAP will provide incentives up to $7,500 to replace premature failed battery or fuel cell components in zero-emission vehicles, including labor costs. The second option for participants is to replace their vehicle in lieu of replacing the battery or fuel cell components. This second option will be a grant up to $10,000, but the vehicle will be donated to the program for automotive technician education and training programs that administer training and repair. Repaired vehicles will be sold through the open used market. ZAP incentives to replace the vehicle are stackable with other local federal programs, but will not be stackable with any CARB vehicle purchase incentives. I am going to now turn over the presentation to Scott from the Community Housing Development Corporation. Scott?
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Bukovitz, and I am the ZAP lead for the Community Housing Development Corporation. I'm excited to be here with you today. We have a lot to talk about. Here's staff's initial thinking. Please, next slide. Before I get going. There we go. Thank you. Here's staff's initial thinking behind how ZAP may work. ZAP is guided through the lens of the participant's journey throughout the program. This slide shows an introduction of one potential route a participant will take to have their vehicle diagnosed and ultimately repaired if needed. The participant suspects issues with their battery or fuel cell components or other system critical components. The participant checks their eligibility for ZAP via a microsite and or a call center and starts an application. the participant is contacted by a case manager and directed to a ZAP-approved diagnostic facility for vehicle diagnosis. Once the vehicle diagnosis is complete and qualifying issues are confirmed, the diagnostic facility submits supporting documentation to ZAP staff for review. ZAP staff confers with the nearest repair facility to the participant's location to receive the estimate for repair or repairs. The participant is informed of a clear cost estimate for repairs by their case manager. The case manager will help the participant work through the options, ensuring they are not making decisions without the support. With the support of the case manager, the participant will be given two options or routes, soon to be explained, and continues their journey through the program. Route number 1 is vehicle repair rebate. That would cover up to $7,500 for repairing the vehicle. The participant would be responsible for any cost exceeding this amount. Again, the participant would be informed of the final cost before choosing this option. Route number 2 is vehicle replacement grant. That would cover up to $10,000 for a replacement vehicle. The participant would also have the option to exit the program at this point if they chose to do so. Next slide, please. Once the application is approved, a repair appointment is scheduled. Repairs are completed, and the rebate is paid directly to the location performing the repairs, including parts and labor. Participants are responsible for any repair costs exceeding $7,500. The critical system components are replaced or repaired, and the replaced system critical components are refurbished, repurposed, or recycled. Transportation accommodations are in development to ensure that the participant does not experience a gap in reliable transportation. Next slide, please. The second route a participant can take is choosing to replace their vehicle instead of repairing critical components. The initial steps of the process are the same as the first route. However, once the vehicle has been diagnosed, the participant makes the decision to replace the vehicle. Upon application approval, the participant goes through the DCAP purchase network to acquire a replacement vehicle with a purchase grant up to $10,000 for the donation of the vehicle. The participant donates their qualifying vehicle to the program to be used for workforce training, and any qualifying components are reused, refurbished, repurposed, or recycled. Next slide, please. I want to point out that there will be some new terminology that will be used over the next 3 slides. Some of the terminology might be confusing at first glance, but I will do my best to speak clearly and repeat some concepts and definitions as we travel through this route together. With that being said, let's focus on the continuation of Route 2 and the proposed pathways for the donated vehicle can take as it progresses through the program. The goal of this pathway remains focused on prioritizing the needs of ZAP participants while reducing the environmental footprint of the donated vehicle and ultimately provide as many options as possible to keep the vehicle from having to be recycled. With this goal in mind, the team is designing a reuse, component reuse versus vehicle reuse, repurpose, and recycling network consisting of education and training partner projects, workforce training, and third-party opportunities within California. The first step in this post-vehicle replacement process is to perform an extensive vehicle component evaluation to determine the most viable pathway the vehicle or its components should take. The donated vehicle component evaluation determination will consist of 4 preliminary recommendations of each component group. Examples of component groups are battery pack, battery management system or BMS, drivetrain, and vehicle shell. The recommendations will be organized in the order of most viable from A through D, with recommendation A being the most viable pathway. Each pathway will be designed and aligned with state regulations and/or guidelines. The 4 pathways are 2A, repair, repairing the vehicle and potentially making it available for program use or resale. 2B, reuse, component specify, removing and utilizing functional components from the vehicle to repair other vehicles, educational purposes, or refurbishment or resale. 2C is repurpose, repurposing vehicle components for educational projects or alternative applications such as energy storage systems, for example. 2D is recycle, vehicle retirement, recycling components that are no longer suitable for other pathways, ensuring responsible end-of-life management within California when possible. Recycling is considered a last resort, and the program acknowledges the challenges of securing a dedicated in-state recycling partner due to a limited number of facilities and regulatory restrictions. Next slide, please. All right. Let's focus on the first 2 pathways the donated vehicles components can take. The first pathway is repair, A. This pathway maximizes the available resources of the repair facility where the vehicle was donated to repair the vehicle. The available resources would include replacement component stock, labor time, and access to the overall education and training partner network. The second pathway, reuse, B. This pathway is reserved for a vehicle that would not be recommended for repair A pathway. This reuse pathway would involve the removal of functional and non-functional critical components from the vehicle. The approved functional components would be used for repairing any program vehicle that enters or resides at the repair facility and will be stored at the facility for future use and logged into the Education and Training Partner Network inventory. Refurbishment will take place within the Education and Training Partner Network where possible, or sold to local non-participating repair facilities. The main objective is to optimize resource utilization and minimize waste, aligning with the program's commitment to environmental responsibility, and all funds secured from the resale of the donated vehicles or their qualified components will be distributed back into the ZAP program. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now let's focus on the third and fourth pathways. The donated vehicles components can take. The third pathway is repurpose, C. This pathway also maximizes the available resources of the repair facility where the vehicle was donated to populate the Education and Training Partner Network inventory for repurposing projects. An example of a repurposing project would be an energy storage backup that is on the repair facility site, near or a robotics project within the Education and Training Partner Network. The fourth and final pathway is Recycle, D. This pathway is reserved for vehicle components that were not recommended for reuse, B, or repurpose, C, and is considered to be the recommendation of last resort. It also serves as a secondary pathway for components that have traveled through pathways B and C and have reached their respective end of life. These components will be distributed to a yet-to-be-established recycling network within California when possible. (2C) Repurpose involves using critical components in educational training programs or for other purposes like energy storage systems or other engineering technology applications. The program is identifying education and training partners and assessing their capacity and interest in utilizing EV components. We are also exploring partnerships with research institutions or companies developing energy storage solutions. The program will develop clear guidelines and agreements with partners regarding the use, handling, and eventual disposal of repurposed components. Pathway benefits include provides hand-on learning opportunities for students in green automotive and engineering technology programs, contributes to research and development efforts in areas like energy storage, demonstrates the program's commitment to innovation and finding alternative uses for EV critical components. 2D, recycling critical components that are no longer suitable for pathways A through C, ensuring responsible end-of-life management within California when possible. Recycling is considered a last resort, and the program acknowledges the challenges of securing a dedicated in-state partner due to a limited number of facilities and regulatory restrictions. The program plans to clearly communicate to stakeholders that recycling is a necessary component of a comprehensive EV end-of-life program, even though it may not align perfectly with the goal of maximizing reuse. Extensive vetting of potential recycling partners will be necessary to ensure they adhere to responsible environmental and safety practices. Next slide, please. The slide outlines the planned rollout strategy for ZAP, highlighting the phased approach to proposed implementation. The initial rollout will focus on 5 large air districts: South Coast, Bay Area, Sacramento Metro, San Diego, and San Joaquin Valley. This targeted approach allows the program to gain valuable experience in diverse geographic regions, each with its own unique market dynamics and logistical considerations, refine operational procedures, and address potential challenges in a controlled manner before expanding to other areas. Collaborate closely with stakeholders in these districts, ensuring a smooth and successful implementation. Provide ZAP first to areas with historic participation in CC4A and prior financing assistance programs, i.e. purchasers of ZAP-eligible vehicles through a CARB program. Alignment with DCAP expansion. The rollout to air districts outside of the initial 5 will allow the expansion timeline of the DCAP program. This strategic alignment allows for leveraging DCAP's existing infrastructure and network of approved dealerships and brokers, simplifying logistics, and maximizing efficiency, as well as capitalizing on DCAP's established relationships with potential training partners. Coordinating outreach and communication efforts with DCAP, avoiding duplication of efforts, and ensuring consistent messaging to participants and the public. This rolling implementation strategy is designed to ensure a successful and sustainable program that can effectively serve participants throughout California. Next slide, please, and I will pass it back to Michael.
Thank you, Scott. All right, staff looks forward to hearing feedback on this initial thinking. Going forward, staff plans to continue research and discussions of ZAP policy and implementation with stakeholders. Staff will continue holding work groups to discuss ZAP implementation with the goal to launch the program sometime later this summer. With that, I will turn it over to a question and comment period. Again, we are excited to hear your feedback on this initial thinking as well. Next slide. We will open the floor to anyone to ask questions about ZAP. If you would like to make a comment or ask a question, please use the webinar's feature for raise hands. For those using Zoom online, please click the raise hand option on the Zoom navigation bar under the Participants tab. For those using Zoom mobile application, please click the raised hand options in the More tab. For those who are participating by telephone, please be sure to press #2 and we will call on you accordingly. If you would like to email us a question, you can send it to the email address, which will be up on the screen, see up on the screen, and will also be added to the chat here in a second. Staff will be checking this email periodically during this period. Please include your name and affiliation along with your question in your email. My colleague Adelina will be monitoring the email box and let us know if there's any questions are sent in. For those in Zoom or on the phone, once your line is open, you can begin speaking. Please state your name and affiliation first before providing your comment or question. Okay, I see there was a hand raised from, sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly. It's looks like Esther. Let's see here. Oh. Trying to find you on the list here. Cannot, for some reason, I think you must put your hand down. I don't see it anymore. Oh, there we go. Attendees. Okay, I've go ahead and unmuted you. You can go ahead and unmute and please state your name and affiliation. Essler, I believe you should be unmuted and you can go ahead and unmute now and talk.
Yes. I didn't have a question. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I'll go ahead and open it up to anybody else. And do we have any emails? I see Kristen. I'll go ahead and allow you to talk. You can go ahead and unmute. Please state your name and affiliation before you ask your question or comment.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Christian Corby, and I'm the Deputy Executive Director at the California Electric Transportation Coalition, or CALITC. I just wanted to thank CARB staff and HCD staff for putting this all together. Really good information. Just off the jump here, I really like the program structure so far. I like that there are a few pathways and options built in. I'll definitely solicit comments from my membership to see if they have any suggestions or recommendations. I think I had just like two questions, I guess. So one was for the pathways that were provided, it looks like for B, C, and D, reuse, repurpose, and recycle, those three are where the vehicle is donated and the person would then get a $10,000 incentive to purchase a new vehicle. Am I reading that right?
Thank you, Christian. Yes, you are reading that correctly. Just to be extra clear, the participant would receive the $10,000, up to $10,000 when they donate the vehicle, and then the vehicle without the participant would then go through A through D.
Oh, okay. So even A is included in that as well. That's also where it's donated. So really the pathway where they just like get this 7,500 and replace the battery, that would be a separate pathway then compared to like the donated vehicle one. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then the other question I had was just on the incentive amounts. I don't know, but I would certainly be willing to solicit some feedback from members on what the cost differential is going to be between a new battery and the 7,500 incentive amount. If you guys have any information about that, that'd be interesting. And then I know, just from my own research and looking into getting a used Chevy Bolt, that they range in price from, around 13,000 to 25,000. So a $10,000 incentive will not cover the whole cost, but it could get you close to the lowest value. But then if if you want to buy a newer one, that's gonna, could cost you upwards of around 15,000. So just kind of wondering maybe what the rationale was there in setting the new vehicle or replacement vehicle rather incentive at 10,000.
So Christian, I can go ahead and take this part of the question. So the reason why we set the incentive for doing the vehicle to 10,000 was to pretty much align with what we have in DCAP for the current allowance for grant and for basically scrapping a vehicle currently in DCAP. Now, when it comes to the battery part, the components, most of the the smaller battery packs for some of the earlier vehicles, replacement cost is a lot lower. The ones you're talking about are a lot higher. It's a newer, and it's a full EV, and the idea was to be able to offset as much as possible. Battery packs for some of the smaller, older style are within that cost that we have for the $7,500, including labor. But when it comes to the bigger ones, it just depends upon who you go through. And so that's where we came up with that. We did look at actual costs currently right now with battery packs for plug-in hybrids as well as with full EVs. I hope that answered your question. Do you have any other questions?
No, that does it. Thank you so much. That's good information. Really appreciate it.
Okay, do you have any other questions or comments?
I don't see any in the email inbox either.
Thank you, Annalene. I'll give it a few more minutes here and then we can go ahead and move on if there's no questions or comments. I'll give another 2 minutes. Just as a reminder, this is also not the only time you can provide comments or questions. You can also email us at the email that is provided in the chat at any time afterwards as well, and we'll go ahead and answer your questions. So this isn't your last chance for any questions or comments. Give it another minute here. All right. Seeing we don't have any new questions or comments, we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. And so with concluding the session here, we do have another contact email for you, which you also will see here in the chat. This is the direct email for ZAP, the ZAP program. And you can also get a hold of Scott through there or me through the previous email as well. And that's what we have for ZAP today. If you have any other questions, any other questions or comments, then we can go ahead and we'll go ahead and wrap up. Give it another minute here and then we'll go ahead and close it on up. All right, everybody. I'd like to thank everyone for coming in today and participating. This was a lot of fun, and I hope next time to see everybody back again. And next time we go over some more details on ZAP, and hopefully very soon we'll be open. And with that, I'd like to sign off. Bye-bye, everyone.